안녕하세요. 오늘은 힘이 넘쳐 보이죠? 오늘은 쉬는 날이기 때문이죠. 오늘 운동 쉬는 날, 토요일, 일요일, 월요일 날 야간 출근이에요. 집에서 방콕을 할 겁니다. 여기서만 있을 거예요. 어디 안 갈 겁니다. 그래서 일단, 운동을 해야 되는데, 어저께 미국 증시가 다시 또 폭등했죠. 왕, 9%? 역시 주식은 하면 안 돼요, 여러분. 주식은 도박입니다. 도박이에요. 이렇게 오를 거라고 누가 생각합니까? 또 내일 또 월요일 날 또 떨어지면 또 이렇게 또 떨어질 거라고 누가 예상을 했겠습니까? 자, 미국이 이제 국가 비상사태를 선포했죠. 이제 시작이에요. 이제 시작입니다. 자, 일단 오늘 우리는 운동을 합시다. 우리는 운동을 해야 되는데, 제가 이거 지금 영상 키기 전에 30분 정도는 거짓말이고요. 15분 정도 스트레칭을 미리 해놨습니다. 바로 운동하려고. 일단은 오늘 내일 팔굽혀펴기만 위주로 최대한 많이 할 거고요. 역시 운동할 땐 CNN이죠.
Taking that and knowing that I can move with it and be better, I think that's what really got me interested in it and got me stuck and loving it.
Debong's small studio in downtown Johannesburg is just large enough for the tools of the trade.
Also, the mask really works great because it protects me from being drowsy and from being high unintentionally. So it's basically these two, and for working at heights, because right now I've been fortunate to work on big walls, so it's either I use a step ladder or I use the scaffolding to get up. So depending how high I have to get up, I just take these with me and assemble them on site.
From here, it's a short trip to the trendy district of Mapuneng, which is studded with eye-catching images. As with many other street artists, Debong's has made sure to leave his mark. They have something to say to the people on the pavements.
The concept of it is basically to speak about comfortability and being comfortable in your own skin, loving yourself, and knowing that one is enough. Loving your hair. Your curly hair is beautiful. Your skin is beautiful. You're beautiful.
Alongside is the work of artist Senzor Nhlapo. Senzor has a fine art background, but loves the canvas of the streets.
I'm inspired by African masks. So I used to study African art. I will go and refer myself. I will go and study Benin art. I will study the art from the Mali. And then I will always come across these beautiful artifacts or African masks with my own style. And I started putting things together and then say, you know what, let me give it like a pop feeling, like an African pop art feeling. So that's how I was influenced. Yes, I was aware of the Picassos. I was aware of the other movement of art. But now, we never had any movement of art. Therefore, I sort of came with my own signature to also celebrate the identity of Africans.
The non-profit organization Baz Art is in partnership with both Debong's and Senzor. Recently, they were able to secure them an opportunity to paint in New York. Their journey included a visit to this mega street art company, Colossal Media.
We kind of consider them as a big brother because they've been around for 15 years. They have created, I would say, their own industry around street art. And they paint a lot of walls across the US. They've created a sustainable industry showing that billboard and plastic billboard is not really the future. You can use people, create a message on the wall, and build a story around street art.
I was just blown away, like the colors, they have everything in-house, like the machines, the paint, everything is just in-house. So my mind was just blown away that this can actually happen, and it started with like artists. So it really shows that nothing is impossible.
It was like, oh, this is my dream come true. This is a sort of a setup that I want to see myself in the next 10 years or in the future.
Back home in Soweto, near Johannesburg, Senzor is a local hero. He's become a pioneer in an environment where there is little funding for artists.
We were exposed to this industry properly, like after Mandela was free. So we are still young in this game, but we are growing. I think with a good support and a lot of money, yes, we can reach that. And this is what you want to do. Let's say you are creating a flower. You want to create that center of the flower, and then,
In the absence of funding, Senzor often volunteers to teach children what comes to him so naturally.
try. Simply, yes, go closer to the wall. My street art, if Soweto means a conversation, and also it has to do with education. Yeah, use other colors so that you can have a feeling. Yes, good. Yes, good. Educating people about art, because remember, we're not exposed to art. We only go and see the exhibitions in the suburbs where it's in the town, so nobody really knew what we were doing. So now, for me to do street art is to also share my passion and my talent with the Sowetans.
In Johannesburg, artists have a great deal of freedom to paint where it suits them.
Johannesburg, there's no rules. As long as the owner has said yes, you can go paint the wall. You can put whatever you want on that wall. It might be erased, it might stay there. So it's a bit lawless, but what you have to think at the end is that it's just paint. We're just painting a wall. If it creates a trouble, we can always paint it back. And for me, that's the beauty about street art.
In Cape Town, getting permission to paint is not always easy. But that's not stopping artists, both local and international, from pursuing their passion.
Here we had a 14th platform scaffolding, which is so huge, tiring to walk from the platform to platform, but the most challenging is actually to see the entire picture.
Ahead, taking street art to the sky, the Ukrainian lighthouse towering over one of South Africa's cities.
Thinking of banking in Africa? Think Zenith. In today's fast-moving, fast-changing world, you need a financial partner that understands your unique expectations. A bank with presence in major financial centers across the world, with the enabling platform to facilitate seamlessly, whenever, wherever, or however. A bank with best-in-class financial solutions from a superb combination of technology and human touch. For easy, fast, and secure banking that creates real value. Turning dreams into reality is now in your hands. People, technology, service. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
The Dangote Group stands at the forefront of African enterprise. Since 1978, we've touched the lives of millions of people by meeting their basic needs. Our belief in the promise of Africa has taken us into 14 African countries, with substantial investments that will propel the continent towards greater prosperity, promising jobs, improved standards of living, and economic growth. Dangote, for an empowered Africa.
Coronavirus, what to do, what to avoid, and when to see a doctor. CNN's new podcast has answers. Join Dr. Sanjay Gupta for Coronavirus, Fact versus Fiction. Listen on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
오늘 날씨 너무 좋네요.
Two Ukrainian artists created a lighthouse on one of Cape Town's busiest streets. Tatiana Hurd is still surprised that they pulled it off.
No doubt that we did it under the miracle because we were half blind. We did most of the job freehand using just rope and masking tape, and so all the shapes were done mostly freehand without sketch.
The painting depicts a lighthouse that stands in Ukraine, where Tatiana fell in love with a South African. She followed her heart to a remote fishing town here along the coast. As a way of introducing herself to the locals of Lambert's Bay, she painted pictures on their walls.
I'm naturally a very flowing person, and I would do this decorative folk art, which is very flowing, floral ornaments. I realized that I can't just be so different. I sort of have to blend into the local culture and create something new. So my personal style is that I'm still flowing, but also using the shapes and colors which are bright as South Africa is.
어, 힘들어.
Tatiana is painting seabirds called gannets at a shopping centre. It's a commission facilitated by the organisation Baz Art. Alex Tillmans checks in to see Tatiana's progress.
It's always been in the bird islands. They're all moving into different directions. Yes.
Alex's organisation matches street artists to clients who are looking for ways to rejuvenate their space. Baz Art helps the artist negotiate content, style and fees.
By creating that demand, that's where we can find work for artists. And that's where, in different cities around South Africa, we can do those artworks, marketing campaigns, or sometimes CSI projects, or social responsibility project. If we have 80 artists all around South Africa, big cities mainly, but also small towns, we can always paint a creche, paint a school, paint a hospital, anywhere, with one of the artists that participated to Baz Art.
The Baz Art program developed from the first International Public Art Festival in 2016. A 100 murals have been produced here in 5 years.
So we welcome international and local artists. We keep a half-half mix. It's for the public, so it needs to please the public. It needs to be positive and empowering. It is an art festival, so we invite all types of artists without distinction. So it can be a street artist, a calligraphist, an illustrator, a fine art artist. And it's a festival because we still like to have fun.
I grew up in between Woodstock and Salt River, so I went to school here. That was during the 80s, which was quite an interesting time to be here. And I've watched the area change over time from being quite a disadvantaged community to now having a revival and turning into quite an art hub as well.
Anthea has settled in Salt River. She's a trained tour guide. Showing off street art is now her job.
It's been a lot of pride, but graffiti art in this area actually goes back a lot further. I grew up with graffiti artists, and there are pieces in this neighborhood that are 16 years old with not a mark on them. Same with the new pieces that we've put in. They're such a part of the community and a reflection of that. And the international artists that we've brought down, as well as local artists, became such a part of the community while they were here. So it was very much a community project in that sense.
When I look at that street art, especially in Salt River, it's really soothing for me as an artist, as a person.
The Baz Art program includes support for art teachers like volunteer Mark Jenica.
Put your brush in the water, so let it stretch, let it stretch.
Children can find Mark in this library most afternoons. Baz Art supplies him with materials.
That is just my passion, to keep kids off the street and out of trouble, you know, because you don't get a lot of good role models out there. Mitchell's Plain is full of a lot of negativity, so I'm just trying to give them what I didn't get. You take white and a little black, then you make red. Where's the white?
Mark is living proof of the power of art. It helped him turn his life around when he got out of jail.
On the education part in Mitchell's Plain, we have Mark Jenneker is our main lead teacher. He used to be a gangster a long time ago. He's convinced that art will make better kids by opening their creative brain, but also by teaching them social life skills.
Or you want me to put this somewhere where it can dry? Art is really a form of a therapy and to focus on positive things for the kids. And they grow up in that positivity. What I'm doing is really therapeutic and it can save lives as well. Because here bullets is flying from everywhere, anytime, you never know when it happens.
많이 먹었는데 밥도 많이 먹고 했는데 힘이 안 날까요?
This year, the festival has also renovated a neglected plot. Now a garden for children. It's a place for them to bring their creativity and be embraced by color.
I now know what color has done to me. Like every time I'm in a bright space, I now know how my mood changes. So I can imagine like the people who are not in good spaces, if they were surrounded by just color, they act differently, they react differently, they treat people better.
Inside Africa, in association with Zenith Bank. Coronavirus, what to do, what to avoid, and when to see a doctor. CNN's new podcast has answers. Join Dr. Sanjay Gupta for Coronavirus, Fact versus Fiction. Listen on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Business is all about making connections. But some connections are easier to make than others. With a CNN partner hotel, the world is always at your fingertips. CNN partner hotels, connected to your world.
All new African Voices Changemakers. Create opportunities. Impact communities. Transform lives. Meet two innovators changing lives by feeding the bodies and minds of Africa's youth.
You see their face light up. That is something that makes you think, wow, I am on the right track.
African Voices Changemakers on CNN.
I'm Jim Bitterman in Paris, and this is CNN.
A US travel ban on visitors from most European countries now in effect, as President Donald Trump strikes a deal to inoculate the United States economy against the coronavirus. Roman ghost town, this is what a lockdown looks like in Italy. We look at whether it's working.
Why don't you guys cover his legs up? Oh, you can open the windows today.
And And a daughter desperate to show her sick mother just how much she loves her. She's a patient at a nursing home, the site of the deadliest outbreak of the virus in the US. Welcome to our viewers in the United States and around the world. We're live in Hong Kong. I'm Anna Corrin. Newsroom starts right now. The coronavirus pandemic is moving rapidly across the globe, with updates coming into CNN every few minutes. Well, here are some of the latest developments. Just hours after US President Donald Trump declared the virus a national emergency, the US House passed emergency legislation to help Americans deal with the unexpected costs. We'll have more about what that means in just a moment. We've also learned a third guest at President Trump's Florida resort has tested positive. Still, the White House physician says President Trump does not need to be tested. When the US Senate reconvenes next week, a coronavirus relief package will be one of its first orders of business. It's aimed at helping Americans who are facing economic hardships because of the coronavirus.
We thought it would be important to show the American people, to assure the American people that we are willing and able to work together to get a job done for them. So we thank our Republicans, those who will be supporting the bill. We appreciate the President joining us with his tweet, but we are very excited about the prospect.
Well, CNN's Manu Raju explains what's in the bill and how lawmakers were able to pull it together so quickly.
After 2 days of intense negotiations between the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, and the Treasury Secretary, Steven Mnuchin, a bipartisan deal was reached to deal with the fallout of the coronavirus outbreak all throughout this country. This legislation would deal with people who need to get tested for this virus. It would ensure that people would not have to pay for those tests, but also would help people who have been displaced from work, including paid leave for up to 2 weeks for individuals who have been displaced from work. In addition to that, certain food assistance, food stamps, and other measures, including for children who won't be able to get lunch from school. There'll be other programs in place for them to get nutrition that they need. Also, with both funding from Medicaid, the federal Medicaid program, to provide healthcare funding to the states for people who rely on that program. Now, this came in the aftermath of another bill that has already been passed by Congress, $8.3 billion to deal with helping to essentially ensure that the resources are there for states and localities to deal with everything that they are experiencing from this pandemic, and expect another measure to also move forward in the weeks ahead, an economic measure to deal with potentially some of those industry sectors that have been hit hard over the days and weeks and are likely to suffer significantly from either from employers not working, from retailers not getting enough money, from individuals staying at home through these quarantine, the real dramatic economic impact. That will be the focus of the next package. But this package came in the aftermath of those Pelosi and Mnuchin negotiations. There had been some questions about whether President Trump himself would sign on to this package. He criticized the Democrats in the late afternoon on Friday, but ultimately he got behind this measure. And when I asked the Speaker of the House whether she spoke to the president at all throughout the course of the negotiations, she said, "No, I didn't have to do that." She said she spoke to Mnuchin instead, and they came to this deal that passed the House and now is on to the Senate. Manu Raju, CNN, Capitol Hill.
Well, the crisis is taking a huge toll on the American public, even if people are not actually sick. Nick Watt looks at how an abundance of caution is impacting day-to-day life.
In New Rochelle, New York, a drive-through coronavirus testing center just opened.
There are 6 lanes. This facility can do about 200 cars per day.
The instruction approach with windows rolled up. This is where we are now.
I think this could be a 6, 7, 8, 9 month affair, watching the trajectory of the virus.
Much of the rest of the country now shutting down. More than a dozen states have closed all schools. Many more cities and districts doing the same. Los Angeles, the second largest school district in the nation, no confirmed cases, just pulled the plug.
As we reflected over and over and over again, we felt it was the right decision at the right time. These are trying times.
Everywhere, authorities saying there's good reason to keep us apart. Louisiana postponing its primary until the end of June. In Ohio now, no public gatherings of 100 people or more. In Maryland and California, the bar now set at 250. Disneyland California now shutting down for the first time since 9/11. Tamara Jackman just arrived for a 10-day trip.
Just very frustrating.
More dominoes falling. Disney World Florida, Universal Studios, the Smithsonian, Seattle's Space Needle. LA's 50th annual Pride Parade already postponed, and it wasn't scheduled until June. And sports, adding to that growing list of delayed or suspended seasons, the fabled Masters golf tournament now postponed. The Boston Marathon also postponed until September.
여기까지 하겠습니다. 됐다.
Writes itself. Today we're on the
여기까지
first
할게요.
marathon of our own as we battle this very serious disease.